Okay, so you really can't go anywhere online right now without bumping into Kendrick Lamar, can you?
Not at all. It's been wall to wall.
I mean, the new album, GNX, just dropped. That Super Bowl LIX halftime announcement basically sent the internet into meltdown.
Right.
And Not Like Us, I mean, wow. That track is just everywhere.
It really is. It's been quite a whirlwind of activity, hasn't it? Each piece kind of highlights something different about him.
Exactly. And that's what we want to unpack today. We've got some really interesting material to work with here. We've got the transcript from the Not Like Us music video, the raw energy, the accusations.
Very unfiltered.
Then there's the Super Bowl halftime show transcript.
Yeah.
You know, the big stage, the spectacle, but also some specific lyrical choices in there.
A completely different vibe, yeah. Performance on a global scale.
And then we have the Pitchfork review of GNX, a critical look, some real analysis of the album itself.
Which is great, because having these different types of sources, the raw track, the big show, the critical review, it lets us see things from multiple angles.
Right. So our mission for you today, listening in, is basically to cut through all that noise. Let's try and figure out the core themes, what Kendrick seems to be putting out there right now without getting totally overwhelmed by, all of it.
Sounds like a plan. Where should we start? Maybe with the track that kicked so much of this off.
Yeah, let's dive into Not Like Us. The energy is just immediate.
Oh, absolutely. The central message, right? They not like us. It's such a strong declaration.
It really is. It creates this instant sense of us versus them.
Specifically rooted in, Black LA culture, which is key to understanding it, I think. That simple phrase carries so much weight.
And it's not just a general vibe, is it? The lyrics get incredibly specific and aggressive towards Drake.
Extremely direct. I mean, the lines calling him a freaky-ass nigga, the pedophile accusations, those are obviously very serious, and, well, they grab your attention immediately.
Impossible to ignore. And those specific accusations have really dominated the conversation around the track.
They have. But there's also that layer of cultural critique, right? Accusing Drake of being a colonizer.
Yeah, explain that a bit more. What's the implication there?
Well, it suggests he's, swooping into regional rap scenes, taking from them, maybe profiting, without being truly part of them, exploiting them, essentially.
Almost like cultural tourism, but for music scenes.
Something like that, yeah. It adds another dimension beyond just personal beef. It brings in power dynamics, authenticity.
And he doesn't stop there. He names names in Drake's crew, like Chubbs, Baca.
Yeah.
Referencing things people might already know about.
Pulling things from the public domain, yeah. Makes it feel even more pointed.
Then there's the Atlanta reference saying Drake runs there when you need a check balance.
Right. Framing it as transactional, like he only engages with Atlanta's scene when it benefits him financially.
Which, again, feeds into that critique of authenticity versus just, using the scene.
Exactly. And the diss towards OVO, other vaginal option.
Right.
I mean, that's just deeply personal, very aggressive language. No punches pulled.
No punches pulled at all. And for folks listening maybe in the Bay Area, that line about disrespecting Tupac.
Oh, yeah.
And suggesting the Oakland show might be Drake's last one there that hits differently, doesn't it? Taps into that regional pride, Tupac's legacy.
Definitely. It grounds the conflict in specific places and histories.
What's interesting is how the Pitchfork review looks back at the song's impact. They talk about a shift.
Right. This is a really key point they make.
They suggest it started as this, raw expression of Black LA, but then maybe got commodified. Turned into more of a brand as it went viral.
Yeah, that's the idea, that the original energy, the specific cultural meaning, maybe got a bit diluted or changed as it was picked up by, everyone everywhere, mainstream platforms, other figures.
And it makes you think about how that happens, right? How something authentic can get transformed when it hits the mainstream.
It's a constant tension, I think. And then you've got Kendrick's own explanation, which the review mentions him telling SCA.
Yeah, what was that quote?
He apparently said, "Not like us is the energy of who I am, the type of man I represent. This man has morals, he has values, he believes in something, he stands on something, he's not pandering."
Wow. Okay, so putting that statement about morals, values, not pandering right next to the incredibly aggressive personal attacks in the song itself, that's quite a contrast.
It is, isn't it? How do you square those?
Well, maybe. Maybe for him, the attacks come from that place of morals. Like he sees the target as lacking those things.
That's one way to look at it, that the intensity of the diss is fueled by his conviction in his own standing, perhaps. It suggests the aggression isn't just for show, but rooted in something deeper for him.
Okay, so that's Not Like Us. Now let's switch gears to the Super Bowl halftime show. Totally different context.
Massive stage, massive audience, global.
Yeah. And the transcript shows it starts pretty powerfully. Great American, my TW back power up. And then saying he's carrying heavier hearts.
Right. It immediately sets a tone, doesn't it? Like, this isn't just fun and games. There's weight here. A statement.
And then lines like, I deserve this, like talking about being a better muse, coming up from government cheese.
Yeah, building that narrative, overcoming obstacles, claiming his place. It's a classic, powerful story arc that connects with a lot of people.
But then there are lines in the transcript that seem to wink right back at the feud.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, there's this bit. Won't go, but I know that it was wool kicks on sale till I silenced it, given everything that was happening.
Okay. You can see how people would read that as a reference, yeah, till I silenced it. It definitely suggests the conflict was still front of mind.
Exactly. Even on that huge stage, it feels like it's still part of the narrative he's presenting.
And he performed older hits too, right? Like, all right,
No.
humble.
Yeah, which is interesting because those songs have their own weight, dealing with bigger themes, social commentary, personal flaws.
So bringing those into the mix alongside the hints about the feud, it adds layers. It's not just about the conflict.
But what really struck me was including lines from Not Like Us in the actual performance.
Right, on the Super Bowl stage.
Yeah. For a song that's so specific in its attacks, putting it on that generally, pretty sanitized, apolitical platform, that feels like a statement in itself.
It absolutely does. It says, this isn't just some side beef. This is part of my core message right now. It elevates the track.
And performing with YG, other West Coast artists.
Reinforces that regional pride again, doesn't it? The solidarity theme from the song brought onto the biggest stage. It connects the personal fight to a wider sense of community in place.
Okay, so we have the raw track, the massive performance.
Right.
Which brings us to the album.
GNX.
The 6th album, yeah. Arriving right after all this intensity. And the Pitchfork Review frames it as landing after these, quote, unimpeachable victories. The feud clearly being part of that.
Yeah, but the reviewer seems conflicted. They acknowledge the whole spectacle around the feud, but they also question it a bit.
How so?
They suggest it felt unusually self-interested and corporatized, which is a strong critique, right?
Right.
And that view kind of colors their whole take on the album.
Interesting. So they see a potential shift in Kendrick himself.
Seems like it. They talk about maybe a move towards a savior complex or more focus on branding.
And they contrast that with Mr. Morale, which was seen as very raw, very human.
Exactly. It's a significant observation suggesting his artistic focus might be evolving, maybe becoming more strategic.
And Kendrick himself feeds into that a bit, doesn't he, on Heart Put 6?
Yeah, the review points that out. Him talking about evolving into a black exec, reclaiming that Heart series. It lines up with this idea of a shift.
Plus the existence of Picklang, his company, which they describe as a multilingual at-service company.
Right. It signals ambition beyond just being an artist. It's about building something bigger, a business, a platform.
So when the reviewer looks at the lyrics on GNX, what do they find?
Well, they seem a bit underwhelmed by some of it emotionally. They mention themes like deserving success, making the most of time, the scarcity of solid niggas.
Okay, standard enough themes, maybe?
Right, but the critique is that sometimes these lines feel a bit rote. Like, the reviewer says they sound like quotes from a speech at a Black Men in Tech conference.
Ouch. So lacking genuine feeling, perhaps. A bit too polished or motivational speaker-like.
That seems to be the implication, yeah. It raises that question.
Yeah.
Does the black exec persona create some distance from the raw emotion of his earlier stuff?
And the album has a strong LA focus, lots of local collaborators.
It does, which, again, the reviewer kind of questions, is this genuine regional love or strategically leaning into the West Coast identity after the feud?
They get pretty specific on tracks, too.
Yeah.
Calling the granny line and TV off ridiculous.
Makes you curious about the intent versus reception there.
But they do shout out the flow on Hey Now, saying it's inspired by Drakeo the Ruler.
Who had a very unique, influential style, yeah. So that's a nod to a specific LA sound.
And Aztec apparently steals the show on Peekaboo, and the posse cut GNX gets a mention.
So specific moments get praised, but the overall production, the reviewer isn't fully sold.
No, they describe it as too clean and synthetic, lacking that maybe gritty feel you associate with some classic West Coast hip-hop.
And Jack Antonoff being involved as a producer, he's known more for pop sensibilities, right? So that choice might contribute to that cleaner sound.
It's not all critique, though. They mentioned softer tracks like Luther with SCA, using the Luther Vandross sample.
Right, showing some melodic range.
And the more experimental tracks, the Reincarnated, which seems like a Tupac homage.
But even there, the reviewer sounds a bit hesitant about these, quote, writerly songs. Like maybe they admire the craft but don't feel the impact as much.
Maybe too intellectual, not enough gut punch.
Could be. And they also interpret Reincarnated as maybe being a sly dig at Drake's use of AI Tupac.
So the feud creeps back in even there.
Yeah.
It really seems to hang over the whole project, in the critical discussion at least.
It really does. And then there's the track Waxed Out Murals.
Right, where the review points out what it calls petty grievances.
Yeah, like complaining about Snoop's reaction to the AI Tupac thing, or Lil Wayne feeling slighted about the Super Bowl, or people not congratulating Kendrick enough for getting the halftime show.
Bringing up stuff like that alongside the bigger themes, how does the reviewer reconcile that?
Well, it leads them to question the overall sincerity, I think. Are these grand statements genuine? Or is some of it just, score settling and ego?
So the big question the review leaves us with is, what is GNX really? Is it watching the party die, like maybe a decline in authenticity?
Or is it just, as they put it, the dick swinging of the hip-hop elite, with Kendrick now firmly at the center, throwing the party at his own crib?
That's a provocative way to put it. Shifting the center of gravity in hip-hop.
Exactly. And one last piece, that Super Bowl LIX announcement ad.
Oh yeah, the visual. Kendrick in front of the big American flag.
The review draws a parallel to Beyoncé's Cowboy Carter cover.
Interesting comparison.
And positions Kendrick as this, quote, loose cannon hip-hop vigilante taking over this huge American symbol, this massive stage.
What does that imagery tell us? What's the message there?
Well, it definitely adds to this idea of Kendrick as more than just a rapper, right? He's a major cultural figure operating on this huge scale, maybe even challenging norms. It fits with that black exec brand-conscious idea, too.
Okay. So let's try and pull these threads together for everyone listening. We've gone through a lot. What are the key takeaways here?
Well, it's definitely a complex picture, isn't it? You've got the raw, direct conflict of not like us.
Super intense.
Then the powerful performance and assertion of self on the Super Bowl stage.
Claiming his space.
And then GNX, which is partly a victory lap, but also raises these questions from critics about focus, emotion, maybe branding.
Right. And that tension the Pitchfork review highlights seems crucial. Kendrick the artist versus Kendrick the black exec or brand.
Exactly. How do those two things coexist or influence each other right now? That seems to be a central dynamic.
The themes we always associate with him are still there, though. Regional identity, competition, legacy.
Oh, for sure. They're absolutely still present. But maybe they're being presented through a slightly different lens now, shaped by the recent wins and this potential shift in his persona.
So the big question for you, listening, is maybe. How does it all fit together? The aggressive diss, the stadium show, the sort of reflective but maybe slightly detached album?
Yeah.
What's the overarching thing Kendrick is trying to say right now?
If there is one single message, it might be more complex than that.
True. And even if people interpret things differently, like how the meaning of not like us might have shifted, you can't deny the intensity, right? The ambition behind all this.
Absolutely not. He's clearly operating on multiple levels, personal, cultural, business. It's fascinating to watch.
So we've done our deep dive today. We looked at the fight in Not Like Us, the spectacle of the Super Bowl, the layers and critiques of GNX.
We covered a lot of ground.
Now, we want to leave you with a thought. Considering all this, the music, the performances, the reviews, the announcements, what do you think is the most significant statement Kendrick Lamar is making at this moment?
Is it about his own evolution? Is it sharp cultural commentary? Is it simply about being dominant in the game? Or maybe something else entirely?
Yeah, what resonates most with you?